Hey, folks. Good evening. We're live. This is Scotty Roberts. You're watching the Intrepid radio program right here on my YouTube channel. We're not on the Odyssey stream tonight over at Odyssey Radio, but you can normally find this show every night of the week, Monday through Friday at odysy1.com. That's Odyssey Radio. I didn't even have my mic pulled down into place. Look at that. And so tonight we're just going live. We're on the live stream on my YouTube channel. And of course you're here, so I don't really need to announce this. But just in case, it's at youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. And what? What do you want, dog? What is that rising up behind me? She's so small. Hey, Rainey.
Hey, Scotty. Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
I'm doing.
There is Rainey. And
Yeah,
you can pull over a stool and join me for the whole show if you want, but we can't guarantee that the little child won't be interrupting us.
Yeah,
Because big brother and sister are off at an overnight. So
yeah, I'm not going to join you for the whole show.
okay.
I got work. I got to get done.
I guess.
I'm out of dragon's blood.
Uh-oh. She's got to go drain some dragons of blood.
I gotta go catch some dragons and steal their blood.
That's right. So, hey, Master Finn, how you doing? Roger Rabbit, good to see you over there. And Kevin Olson, good to see you. Howdy again from Region Surgery.
Oh, no.
It's all done. And you'll be there till Monday.
Nice.
Well, I hope you're doing all right, Kevin. And he's been in for a couple of days already.
Oh, no.
And so, Siani Reese, good to see you as well. And I think that's all of us that are here at the moment,
yeah, hi.
which
Hi,
is okay.
everybody.
Which is just okay. Friday night, it's all right by me. So, what do you got?
I got nothing. I was thinking about taking
Look,
it back.
It's a scarf.
It's a scarf with the layer of scarf and a tank top. I took my work shirt. I took my work shirt off.
Yeah.
I should probably straighten my shirt since I'm over here.
I guess.
I look shirtless, kind of. I just wear a scarf.
You kind of do.
I just wear a scarf.
Yeah, that's what she wears around the house. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So.
Pretty sure the neighbors are too.
What does Siani say here, everyone? Laughing my ass off, and my 14-year-old found a song he printed out the lyrics to in my car. It has the F word and other cuss words. Was this for you, Siani, that he was printing this out? Or was that an accident that you found it? So let me turn that just a little bit so you can see more. Rainy.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, tonight I thought I'd go live again tonight, and instead of pre-recording. And pre-recording is good, but there's nobody to play off of. There's no audience. No live audience. And while you aren't out there participating by laughing, I can't hear you laughing or joking or yelling or whatever you're going to do. It's still kind of fun to know you got an audience that's live right there listening to you. Because when you're recording, you're just talking to the microphone.
Yeah.
And so,
and you're not used to talking to yourself all day long.
No.
Come on. Nobody listens to you.
The only things I say to my, in that respect, I talk to myself all day long. Hey, guys, I need you to clean up the living room. Pick up your mess before Mom gets home. Mom's gone for a couple of hours today. I want her to come walk in and see the house looking nice. Not with your mess all over, okay? Let's go.
Yeah, Rowan told me she vacuumed the floor, but then there was plates on all the tables and half the floor was covered in pie crumbs.
Rowan vacuumed the floor, but then they went and had pie, and so they had pie all over the floor after it was vacuumed. But, that kind of stuff, that can be expected. It's just my kids have. Today, I spent the vast majority of my time out there with them this morning.
Sleeping on the couch?
No, I was working back here.
Oh.
And I went and I talked to them, and I said, I spent the majority of my time helping Rowan understand at age 9 that if you open a drawer, you ought to shut it when you're done with it. If you open a cupboard, you feel free to shut that. If you open up, the leftover pie container, it's okay to pick the container up off the floor, the lid, and put it back on the pie. It's okay to, there's so many things. She just walks, it's just oblivious. And I'm like, I'm like, what? Do we need to hire you a maid to follow you around to close all your drawers on? And she goes, well, yeah.
Yes, you do.
And so that's kids though.
And then I started putting dishes away, and I left a cupboard open in the process of going to find the remote to turn the music on, and he starts yelling at me, not realizing.
Me?
You.
Oh, yeah.
Who left this cupboard open?
All right, who left the cupboard open? Only because I'd only said it a dozen times throughout the day. Yeah. I'm like, and there's a point where it becomes nagging, but at what point do you say, oh, I guess I just let this go now because I've said it 20 days in a row or 3 years in a row. Maybe today we'll just let it go. And sometimes I do, and sometimes you have to. You just say, oh, geez, shut the cupboard, shut the this, shut the that, walk through. But it's when they're down here and all they're doing is watching TV or they're fighting over who gets what or where what. And I'm like, hey, I got a better thing to do than fight. I said, you guys can get your coats on and go outside, or you can help me clean the whole living room and kitchen. And, well, that's not my mess. You ever hear that? You guys are your parent? That's not my mess. I'm not picking it up. And I'm like, I didn't do it. Why should I do it? I said, okay, let's go with that. It's not your mess. You won't do it. I said, the food I'm cooking, I'm not eating it all. I said, so I guess you're on your own.
Well, it depends on what you're cooking. You might be eating it all.
Yeah.
We got the world's pickiest eaters. They only like what mom cooks.
My kids are all super picky. They're as picky as their mom about eating. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's mac and cheese. Yeah, but it's not with like half and half the way mom makes it instead of milk. We don't like whole milk. We like 2% milk in our mac and cheese.
No, they like whole milk.
It's what I'm just making that up because it's like that. And then the little one is hey, Dad, make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Sure. And I'll come out and, well, no, it was the other way around. Dad, I want some mashed potatoes. You warm up mashed potatoes for me from yesterday, please. Sure. And I come out and I get them all warmed up, and she doesn't like them with gravy. She wants them with butter. So I put butter in and I melt it and I hand it to her and she goes, no, I don't want that now. I want peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a peanut butter sandwich.
Not jelly, because she won't eat it.
I'm like, I'm not making you a peanut butter sandwich. I said, I just came out and special cooked for you. And I said, so you'll eat what you asked for. And this is a daily routine, by the way. And we've gotten to the point where we ask Ellie, when she asks us for something, we ask her 5 times through the process. Now, you want butter on that, right? You want butter? Okay, butter.
Did you want bread?
You want bread. You want that on bread, right?
Do you want a hot dog bun?
Not on a bun.
Do you want a baby bun? Do you want a roll? What kind of bread?
Okay, now I'm ready to put the peanut butter on this. Are you sure you want peanut butter on both pieces of bread?
Yeah, because if you don't put it on both pieces of bread, she won't eat it, and she won't let you put peanut butter on the other half.
But there are times, no, I wanted butter on one piece of bread and peanut butter. And so, okay, we're going to teach you how to make your own sandwich.
Yeah.
But then that's a disaster too. So
that's a big mess.
Yeah, there you go, Siani. Sounds like her house.
Yeah.
So, hey, Roger. Well, this has been a pleasure and a gift. 3 live Scotties in a row. Hey, you could have 3 live me's in a row.
Oh my God, no.
Imagine if we cloned me.
No.
Oh, the fun we could have.
My refrigerator would be empty, my couch would be full, and I'd never get to watch what I want to watch on TV.
Yeah, you would.
No, I wouldn't.
So, sure you would.
No.
When do I ever hog the TV?
You did today. It's your ghost shows. I had to go upstairs and watch YouTube.
I wasn't hogging it. I just sat down for the first time all day. I sat down after you got home and I flipped on a ghost show. I even said to you, I said, you don't have to watch this. You can watch whatever you want.
I know. And for the first time when I got home today, I wanted to sit on the couch and watch something.
You should have. You could have come and sat with me on the couch.
No, I went upstairs.
It would have been safe.
Did laundry and cleaned the room.
Hey, Sarah. Oh, you called into Rocky Show. Cool.
Woohoo.
Right on. And so he's starting to do some callers. It's, you can do calls. It's got to be set up. You have to have the right kind of soundboard to do it. So we might do that. Well, woohoo! Calling into Rocky Show. Yes, I do. Thank you, Matt. Preach it. So, Look at her. Look at the face. Look at the face. Kinsey is that way with picking what toys to get to visit Grandma and Grandpa. 38 confirmations and 10 trips back and forth later. She's finally happy. Ain't that the truth?
You just give her the bag and be like, I'm walking out the door in 5 minutes. You better have the toys you want in it or you're getting left here.
There it is. There it is. So that was our day. Rainey had a couple of massages to do today, and I was here, and I was looking at through different things I wanted to do for tonight's show. I got some stuff I want to talk about.
Do you? You got stuff?
Yeah, kind of weird stuff.
What do you want to talk about, Scotty?
Rainey, I'd like to talk about the Labyrinth, Herodotus's Labyrinth in Egypt.
Cool. You have fun with that. I'm going to go sit at my
You
desk.
Want to join us?
No. I'll make comments from the peanut gallery.
All right. You do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will. We'll have fun. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Mwah.
Yum.
Not yum.
Yum.
I ate whiskers. What? You're there.
You hate whiskers or ate whiskers?
I ate whiskers.
All right. Let me adjust this. Some things are out of whack here today. Something got pushed all around. Sayani cut up a deer today, and now she's playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and drinking wine. Listening to you, too. All right. Yeah, the peanut gallery. It's over there on the other end of the office.
Yeah, what you got to say about it?
Nothing. Matt's got nothing.
Yeah, you better not have anything to say. I'll come over there.
Yeah, she'll come over here. But yeah, there were a couple of things I wanted to look at today, just to get back to kind of when we're doing all these live shows, and when you're live, it's not as conducive to me just teaching a straightforward lesson of some kind on something, because I like to talk to you guys and talk about other little stuff and little shit that's going on. And so, hey Steve, how you doing? And good to see you here. And if anybody else slipped in and I didn't see you, I said hi to Sarah Nichols. Good to see you too. And Scott Lowry, nice to see you in here. What do you got going there, Rainey?
I got our daughter prank calling us.
Oh, gotcha. All right. And so, by the way, I just want to say again for Kevin Olson, he's up in Regions Hospital tonight, and for the next couple of days, over in St. Paul, Minnesota, and just had some surgery done. So, Kevin, I hope you're doing all right. I hope the food is good. I hope you're comfortable, and that you're getting to watch whatever you want to watch on your TV. So, let's kind of getting out of the box is always a good thing, says Matt. Yeah, that's right. And
get out of the box, Scotty.
No, shut up over there. I like being in the box. What can I say? She threw something at me. This is the way it goes. This is what you get, folks. This is the live radio, and this is what it'll be like. So, and she keeps having people call her while she's sitting in here. So
it's our daughter who thinks she's prank calling me, but I know it's her.
Oh, our daughter's prank calling Rainey, but it's like we know it's you. So there you go. Here, sorry, my lights are no longer adjusted.
Oh, you want me to shut this light off?
No, if you could turn off the big overhead, if you don't need it for anything. There you go. That's better. Kinda. Oh, now it's weird. See, I usually set my lights all up ahead of time, folks, but now you get to watch me do it in scintillating live radio.
It's the ghost you brought
So
home.
there you go. Yeah, the ghost I brought home. That's for sure. Do you think we brought one home?
No.
I don't think so either. So, let's see. What do you do up with bacon wrap? Prime rib and Saskatchewan rub. Saskatchewan.
Dude, what?
Saskatchewan rub. Rainey, I want a Saskatchewan rub. And smoked it for an hour. Bacon and all of that stuff. That sounds pretty good. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about some kind of weirder things. And we kind of haven't talked a lot about odd stuff on here lately. But I came across this little article when I was looking on the Labyrinth in Egypt, and I was actually serious about that. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Labyrinth in Egypt that Herodotus wrote about in the 3rd, 4th century BCE. And it's this mystical lost labyrinth of Egypt. And there were other great historians of the day that mention this labyrinth. And it's thought to have been a mythological thing because nobody can find it. Well, they kind of think they found it now. And it's kind of cool. And I was going to show you a link. There is a link here. Here, go look at this. If you can, I'm going to copy the link and paste it into the chat room over here. If you go take a look at this, this is a little animation, a CGI animation fly through of what was the lost labyrinth of Egypt. And so you can get an idea of what it is we're going to be talking about. And what a cool place that must have been. And of course, it's all ruins now, if it's where they say it is. I mean, it's all caved in and it's full of sand and all of that stuff. So, but to look at it this way, they've reconstructed this using the materials that were described in the way it was described by Herodotus and others. And so, hey again, Steve, how you doing? Nice to have you back. And Michelle Kenham Free, good to see you. Glad you're here. And Karen Steele, nice to see you as well. So thanks for coming on in. And there's, before I get into talking about the labyrinth, though, as I was doing a little more research on it, and Herodotus, by the way, if you don't have a copy of Herodotus, you really ought to get one. As a matter of fact, I think I mentioned this once before, in the old Intrepid radio days, with John Ward and I, we used to give away free copies of Herodotus. So Herodotus, he's 4th century BCE historian, Egyptian historian. He wrote about a lot of stuff. He wrote about the lost armies of Cambyses, that 50,000 strong army of Cambyses that just disappeared in a sandstorm while they were on their way to destroy the oracle at Siwa, which is out in the western desert. And that's where Cambyses came from Greece and sacked Egypt, and then wanted to go destroy the oasis at Siwa, where there's a town there, and destroy this in 550 BCE and 525 thereabouts. And the whole army, he mounts this 50,000 strong army, and they take a forced march out into the desert. It's almost 500 miles out into the western desert from Egypt. And they take this huge army, a sandstorm hits, and the army's never seen or heard from again. And so it's been a mystery about what happened to them, swallowed by the sands. Yeah, that's it, Mr. Matt. And so, but Herodotus wrote about this labyrinth as well. And he was a historian. He wasn't just a weird writer, a writer of weird things. He wrote about that. But in looking for that, I kind of came across this thing about the bizarre tales of 4 lesser known English mermaids. And mermaids. And for thousands of years, all these shanty tales of half human, half marine beings called mermaids or selkies, as it were, and fin folk have drifted ashore with sea-beaten sailors. And this, by the way, that's where my daughters got the name for their mermaid tale company, Fin Folk. And they stitched together the mythologies of Northern Europe, the Near East, Europe, Asia, Africa, and famously, Christopher Columbus claimed to have spotted a mermaid during his exploration of the Caribbean. Did you know that about Christopher Columbus? And since then, mermaid tales have become really popular topics of art, literature. Hans Christian Andersen's the very well-known, much duplicated Little Mermaid. He wrote that in 1836. And they've subsequently been depicted in operas and paintings and films and books and comics and just about everything you can think of. Now, the earliest mermaid tales, they emerged in ancient Assyria, in which the shamed goddess Aragatus transformed herself into a mermaid for accidentally killing her human lover. And the male equivalent of the mermaid was the merman, and both sexes had a habit for falling in love with humans. And relationships which generally ended up not working out so well, tragedy, tears, death, and all of those things that happened. And so many of the emotional and the psychological attributes of the earliest mermaids were projected into the sirens of Greek mythology. Do you remember the sirens? Remember in the tales of Odysseus that when they came upon the sirens, and the sirens would sing, and they would drive the sailors mad, and they would want to be with them, and they'd drive their ships onto the rocks, and they'd all die. And so Odysseus, or Ulysses, he told his crew to bind him to the main mast of the ship, and then all of them would take wax and put it in their ears to plug their ears so they couldn't hear the siren song, and because he wanted to hear the siren song. And of course it almost drove him mad because he could hear the singing, and he was yelling to his crew to listen to his orders, to bring him to the sirens, and they wouldn't. They of course couldn't hear him either, and so they sailed on. But these magic oceanic creatures were also associated with all these powerful natural events, such as storms and floods and shipwrecks and drownings at sea. And now there were some lesser known English mermaid tales from Exeter and Exmouth in England. And while the northern Scottish islands of Shetland and Orkney could be called centers of this whole European mermaid folklore, in 1737 AD, of course, a bizarre event occurred in the southern English waters near Exeter, and it would haunt 8 fishermen for the rest of their lives. On Thursday, November 10th, 1737, at a fishing ground called Topsham Bar, a group of 8 fishermen had been trawling all morning, and when they hauled their nets on board, they were startled to discover a creature of a human shape having 2 legs. All 8 witnesses were interviewed independently, and to word, they all stated that the creature leapt out of the net and ran away. And while this seems difficult enough to believe in itself, the fishermen added that once they caught up with the mysterious being, they found it dying and groaning like a human. One of the fishermen told police its feet were webbed like a duck's, and it had eyes and a nose and a mouth resembling those of a man. And he added that it had a tail like a salmon, and it was around 4 feet tall. And this creature didn't fit the classic or the archetypical descriptions of mermaids, in which the creatures were generally humans who wore seal skins, which transformed them into half human, half marine type creatures. That was the Selkies. And this Exeter incident was curiously different, and the description of the creature was corroborated by all of the 8 fishermen. And so 2 legs placed below the waist with hints of animalistic features like webbing and scaling all around the lower legs. And so that's one of the first stories out of England where you saw these creatures being mentioned, only in a slightly different way. And let's see what else we got here. I saw some comments coming in while I was reading. Took a nap. I was feeling like shit all day, says Field Guy. Hey, I'm sorry, man. I know how those days go. Let's see. Michelle Siren's song. She says, yes. Are you feeling better now? Says Matt to Field Guy. I hope so. When you do it, it kicks your butt. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Nessie was an eel, said Field Guy. I may have killed chat again, or it froze on me. Didn't freeze on you. It's still there. People will talk more. And so getting into some more of these, in 1812 in England, in Exmouth near Exeter, a fisherman named Mr. Tupin and his crew, they claimed to have heard music, which appeared to be coming from a creature which was human-like with a fish tail. And this is more in line with the classic mermaid tales, which they were called sirens after their legendary singing at fishermen and often luring them into their watery graves. And Mr. Tupin's account said that they were drawn to a single noise in the water, impossible to describe fully, but comparable to a wild, tinkling harpsichord melody. And Mr. Tupin described the creature as having, quote, 2 arms, which it had used to great agility, which terminated in 4 webbed fingers on each hand, on both hands. And he further detailed his characteristics as, quote, a long oval face, seal-like, but more agreeable, and hair seemed to crown its upper and back head, its upper and the back of the head. And in length, according to Tupin, it was about 5.5 feet, and it appeared to be cavorting playfully near the vessel before, after 3 quick plunges, it swam rapidly away and was lost to sight. Attempting to lure the beast closer to their fishing boat, they threw boiling fish into the water. And only 11 years later, in 1823, again in Exeter, a spate of mermaid sightings were reported. And now this is on to the next account. In the River Exe, including witnesses who testified to having seen a creature which, just like the 1737 report, had 2 legs placed below the waist with animalistic features. Another report described a creature which bore from the waist downwards a resemblance to a salmon, and that it ran from the bemused onlookers till it was knocked down and killed, according to a report in the Devon Times. And of course, I'm pretty sure rather than invite it over for a drink or something, they had to beat it to death with something. So that's the way it used to be. Maybe you did kill the Chatfield guy. I don't see anybody saying anything after that. Oh, there's Michelle. I'm grocery shopping, says Michelle, as I listen, so I can't really type at this moment. Yeah, you always got stuff going on during the show. I'm starting to get a complex. You go walking, you go walk the dog, you walk the kids, you walk with the husband, you go shopping, you go grocery shopping. No, you go right ahead, Michelle. Just teasing you. And so let's go on with these mermaid stories. And then there's the haunting stories of the Mermaid's Pool and the Black Mirror Pool. And so at the northern end of England, in the Peak District, we find 2 mermaid legends. The first is said to occupy the Mermaid's Pool, situated just below Kinder Scout in the high peaks. And the salty lake is a peculiarity, and it's situated so far inland. And this natural environment probably offers a reason as to why it was associated with a generally ocean-bound mermaid. It's a salty lake. And the Mermaid's Pool was associated with healing powers for those brave enough to bathe in it. Would you go bathe in a pool? I'm looking at a picture of it here, and I can't share it with you. Sorry, because of the software set I'm using tonight. But it's a pool out in the middle of the barren mountains in northern England, and it's grass, but no trees and bushes and bulrushes around the lake. But this little black pool, and they say if you bathed in it, you could be healed of things. And so it had healing powers if you were brave enough to bathe in it. And if one did so at midnight on Easter, the mermaid was said to appear offering eternal life. And if she looked upon you fondly, that is. If not, you were going to go down to the depths, never to be seen again. So I suppose that's the little bit of a risk you ran. You could go out to the pond at midnight on Easter, and sploosh, you would dive in thinking, okay, I can get healing and I could possibly get eternal life if I'm looked upon favorably by the mermaid who dwells here. But what if she were to come up and not look on you favorably? That's it. That's the end. You're done. And so what is the oldest historical accounts of mermaids? I think it was the Assyrian culture. We're talking, I don't know how far back we're going, but probably into the 9th and 10th century BCE. is where you're going to start seeing some of that. And that's where they had the stories. But then again, you also had, remember, I don't know if you remember this, the early Mesopotamian culture. And I wrote about this in The Rise and Fall of the Nephilim, how there's the story of Owanes, the half-man, half-fish god that would come up out of the Euphrates River, and they would talk, or they would teach knowledge to mankind. They were the gods, only they were half people, half fish. And this is why you see in some of the old Assyrian, the old Babylonian, Mesopotamian sculptures, going back even further, that character, you see him from the side, and he's got what looks like the big priestly mitre hat, but it's actually a big fish head, and the scales coming down as the headdress off of that drop to the floor. This was supposed to be symbology of Owanes and the fish people that would come up out of the waters at night and teach what ended up being the forbidden knowledge of the gods to the human beings. They taught them agriculture, taught them mathematics, taught them metallurgy and cosmology and all of those kinds of things. So it's very interesting. That's about as far back as I know of it going, but they weren't technically called mermaids back then. Yeah, they were independent of each other. So, and this is going way back, but they are in that same basic cradle of civilization area, Matt. They go back to, you've got the Euphrates culture with ancient Mesopotamia, Sumer, Akkad, those places. And then you've got the Assyrians who raise up, which is early Babylonian. And so that gives you an idea of the timing and the place. And they were neighbors, but, you know, not like next door. You weren't borrowing a cup of sugar from Nebuchadnezzar to bring home to Belteshazzar. So, well, let's get back to these English mermaids. I think there's one more here. There's another mermaid tale that's said to take place at the Blackmere Pool. This is in Blackmere Pond, the Mermaid Pond, on the southwestern tip of the Staffordshire Peak District. A small, almost circular lake. Wait, is this the same one? There's a second tale at the same pond. And it's an almost circular natural lake about 50 yards across. And it's situated 6 miles northwest of Leek. And it's said to be bottomless. And one legend states the mermaid came here hundreds of years ago by a sailor from a nearby town of Thorncliffe. And in this rendition of a classic Greek love story between water nymph and seafarer, after the sailor's death, the mermaid grew angry, but she was unable to return to the sea. So she haunted the lake, seeking revenge for her lover's death. And this legend might have been inspired by a real-life event of 1679 AD, when a woman peddler was dumped in the pool by a local serial killer. And they had serial killers in the 1600s. Go figure. You've got also, there's some references to, there's a Fiji mermaid, the abominable creature and why was it so popular, the lure of mermaids, the secret of Melusine, the mysterious mermaid and serpent mother of European nobility. These are other stories that we could probably go into if we wanted to. Attempting to separate fact from fiction, however, in 2013, we're talking just 7-8 years ago, Mr. Philip Davis of Stoke-on-Trent, a member of the committee of the North Staffordshire branch of the British Sub-Aqua Club, adorned a frogman suit and determined that his lake was not actually bottomless, and at its deepest point of the pool is no more than about 7 feet and has a muddy bottom. There's always somebody that wants to mess with your legends, isn't there? Don't go swimming in that pond. You know why? It's bottomless. Got mermaids. The guy goes down in there. Skeptic, I'm sure. Pragmatist goes down, finds a lake at its deepest point, 7 feet. So another darker mermaid tale surrounding this same lake tells of a local man named Joshua Linnet, who was rejected by a beautiful young woman, and unable to deal with his pain, he accused the woman of being a witch and he managed to convince the local people to drown her in the Black Mere Pond. And as she was drowning, the young woman cursed Joshua. And so 3 days later, his body was found floating in the pool with his face covered with claw marks, believed to have been caused by the demon mermaid. And this malevolent spirit is believed by many to still haunt the Black Mere pool today. Attempting to rationalize with this, it might be the case that the poor woman was a mermaid, M-E-R-E, from Black Mere pool, rather than a mermaid. So now that's an interesting story all by itself. If there's some truth to that part of the story, that the guy screamed that she was a witch and they had her drowned for being a witch, and 3 days later he's found dead with his face all clawed up. Who do you suppose did that? Might it have been a mermaid? Might it have been something out of the Black Pool? When they found him in the Black Pool floating. Might it have been that? Or might it have been somebody who was maybe close to her and murdered him for his evil deed and started this legend? It's very interesting. Hey, Morgan Snow. Yeah, I made it, she says. Hello, all. Yeah, I'm here. So good to see you. Glad you're here. Tracy Roberts, good to see you. We're kinfolk somehow. I don't know exactly how. So I'm just curious, Tracy. Did I ask you this before, or was it somebody else, Roberts? Are you a Roberts by birth? Are you a Roberts by marriage? Is it your birth name? So just interesting. Wondering, possible shoestring relative. You never know. Let's see. Field Guy said, I shared this out on 3 different platforms, so let's see if anyone pays attention to my posts. Hey, thanks, Field Guy. I appreciate that. And, of course, since we didn't take a break at the bottom of the hour, let's just do this and say right now that this show can be seen every night of the weeknight, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to go Mountain Time, like Denver or something, you're looking at 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. out on the West Coast. And we've got listeners also in Australia and New Zealand. We've got Amanda makes it in here every now and then from Australia, as does Susie, not Susie Q, but a different Suze. And we have listeners in England. We have Niall in Ireland. We have people across Germany and France that come in here as well, and some in Africa. So there you go. We got an international audience. But so the time zones are all different for everybody. It's hard to listen live when we go live at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. But Monday to Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. West Coast is when this show airs. And we are working toward, I keep saying, I've been saying it for about 2 weeks now, but I want to get it right, and I want to get all the details right. This stream here on YouTube is going to be launching a membership, and that membership will get you certain privileges. And the membership doesn't cost a lot on the grand scheme of things. We're going to have $1.99 a month repeating membership. $1.99 a month, that's $2. $2 a month. And we're going to have a $4.99 membership. That's $5 a month. $5 a month. Rainey, what is 500 divided by 30? Is that about a buck? About 18 cents, something like that?
Because I don't math.
Somebody do that math for me, because I don't do math. Well, what's $5 divided by 30? How do you divide $5 by 30? 30 times. What is that, about 15 to 18, something like that?
I think I did that wrong.
I could do it with
6.
6. That's 6 cents a day for this show every month. I love the way they do it. Thank you, Field Guy.
Is it 6?
Yeah, it's 6. It's
Okay.
6.
Yeah, my calculator was right.
So for 6 cents a day, you can get that middle of the road, pretty good membership to this channel, and it will give you some perks. I'm going to put together a video that's going to tell you all about the perks that you're going to get for joining and membershipping to this show. And then, of course, we're going to have, I think it's a $9.99 premium. I just put that up and it was approved, and I've got to go through and just make sure all the P's and Q's are in order. And that's going to get you the Grand Mondo Intrepid Explosion membership. And you'll get a lot of extra stuff for that. And so you're going to find that there's going to be some fun stuff. There's going to be fun videos that are going to be only for our members. And now, caveat, all 3 of those memberships, you can sign up and you get extra stuff. But the show like this, every night of the week, is always going to be free. You'll never have to pay to see this, but you get to pay for the extras, extensions, and other things. We'll get into it. And I'll launch it when I launch a video. I was hoping to get to it this week, and I said that at the beginning of the week, not thinking, oh, it's Thanksgiving week. So probably this next week, I will have that launched in full, and we'll start some memberships here. And I think that's going to be cool. So it'll be good for you. It'll be good for me. And then I can pay for my mother-in-law's apartment in Miami Beach. So there you go. I don't have a mother-in-law in Miami Beach. That's an old Don Rickles line. If you remember Don Rickles' line, he used to advertise stuff. Old comedian, 60s and the 70s and the 80s. And he used to tell people he would advertise stuff. You know, he would do promotions, and then he'd say, so buy this now. He says, so I can pay for my mother-in-law's apartment in Miami Beach.
How about pay for your mother-in-law's barn in Minnesota?
Pay for my mother-in-law's barn in Minnesota. There you go. Boom. Field guy, you're still a Don Rickles fan? I like Don Rickles. Who was he famous for that kids would know? In Toy Story, he was Mr. Potato Head. He did the voice of Mr. Potato Head in all the Toy Story movies. So, is he still alive? Is Don Rickles still alive? If he is, he's got to be like 98 or something like that. But he just did the last Toy Story movie. So, drop your pants and fire a rocket, he said. Don Rickles was the king of being very discolored, uncolored in his jokes in a day and age when you couldn't be as uncolored as they say. And you couldn't say fuck and things like that. But he was able to, he passed away a few years ago. Yeah, I thought that he wasn't with us anymore. So anyway, Don Rickles, so on and so forth, yada, yada. And so there was something here that I wanted to look at. This is something that kind of came up in all this little research, and it's, why can't we resist the lure of mermaids? Now I look at my own kids, my oldest daughters, my twin daughters, who I've talked about them. One of these days I should try to get them on the show when I start bringing in guests. But they just had a big sale today. They're black for their traditional Black Friday sale. And my kids have a little company called Finfolk Productions. And I think now it took them like 9 years to get it, but they had finfolkproductions.com. And I think now they are finfolk.com. It took them that long to get that URL in the clear, that domain name. So you can go to Finfolk, Finfolk. Here, I'll put it in here in the chat room, finfolk.com. And you can see all the junk that they do, all the cool tales and stuff that they make. That's what they've been doing for about 9 years now. They're in their 9th year. Mermaid Tales, and they're very successful. My successful entrepreneurial daughters who hit on a lightning in a bottle, you could say. And so Finfolk, you can also find them on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, just look up Finfolk as one word, and you're going to find them. Yeah, for dudes, the allure of mermaids is because the top half is usually pretty hot. That's true. That's why I like mermaids, Rainey. Mm-hmm. The top half is hot.
Well,
Hot!
Depends on what
Hot!
song you're listening to.
To what? Who?
What song you're listening to? That mermaid.
Oh, that mermaid
shanty.
song. That's a funny song. That sea shanty song. The Mermaid. You should look that one up. That's pretty good. But what's this allure to mermaids. Now mermaids, they're everywhere throughout literature. And just the past couple of years, they've surfaced in New Brighton, caused a controversy in Asda. They reinvigorated toast, partied with the Cardassians, transformed maternity and wedding photography. They've been a focal point for vandalism and protest in Copenhagen, and they helped a child overcome trauma when she learned to liken her badly burned skin to mermaid scales. Copenhagen, wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Old Danny Kaye movie, by the way. When he played Hans Christian Andersen. Probably played him a lot different than the real Hans Christian Andersen. I heard once that the real Hans Christian Andersen wrote children's tales to occupy kids to keep them out of his hair because he didn't really like little kids. But I'll say this, just a side note, Danny Kaye, love Danny Kaye movies. I don't know if, he was before my time as well, but I think he died in the 80s, the 1980s, if it wasn't the late 70s, but very famous in the old movies. Did a bunch of great old movies. I always liked him. I liked him he wasn't a singer. I liked him as a singer. He was the one that did with Bing Crosby. They did Vermont, the something in, like not the Christmas. What the heck is the name of that? What? The Christmas that I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. That song is in it. That movie made it famous. What Inn? Holiday Inn, I think it was called. Was the movie? And that's where they had, of course, Bing Crosby. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, and they had the one song of Danny Kaye's that he does with Clooney. The mother, I think, of George Clooney, mother or grandmother. I think it was a mother. Might have been the grandmother. Might have been the aunt, for all I know. Big in the movies, the old dance spectacular movies, and all of that. And Danny Kaye did a great song with her. The best things happen when you're dancing. Things that you would not do at home come naturally on the floor. For dancing soon becomes romancing when you find a girl in your arms that you've never held before. Sorry, honey. Even guys with two left feet come out all right when the girl is sweet. If by chance their cheeks would meet while dancing, proving that the best things happen when you dance. And that was one of his songs in that. So Danny Kaye, blah, blah, blah. That all just stream of consciousness for me. I'm going to be a great octogenarian someday. Oh, Grandpa's singing that song again. So, anyway, why are we drawn to mermaids? They're everywhere. And there's daily hashtags on social media about mermaid life and Mermaid Monday and mermaid this, mermaid that. And my daughters, I will frankly, unabashedly say, my daughters helped create some of that craze over the last 8 to 9 years. And because they are, by the way, they became, in just a couple of short years after they started this, the foremost manufacturer of mermaid tails and those kinds of products for that community. Believe it or not, there's a community out there. You think there's a Star Trek community, a gaming community? There is a mermaid community worldwide. And I remember as early as like 7-8 years ago, they were getting international orders, and their list was so long because they were only 2 people. They said, Dad, we got a 1.5 year waiting list for our stuff. And that's when they started expanding and expanding. So all that to say, the mermaid craze is out there. What is it that makes people love mermaids? Mermaiding. They put on fabric or silicone tails to swim like mermaids in swimming pools, in ponds and rivers and ocean fronts. And they become more mainstream. And most incredibly, being a professional mermaid is now a viable career choice, believe it or not. And those able to hold their breath and keep their eyes open underwater for long periods of time can make a living entertaining children and adults, starring in films, music videos, raising awareness of ocean conservation. Up here in the Mall of America, up here in Minnesota, my daughters were here because a couple of years ago, last year I think it was, they had somebody who worked for them came up here and was doing, because they all came from up here originally. They were all from Minnesota. And she was doing at the big aquarium, the underwater world at the Mall of America, which is absolutely spectacular, by the way. And she was doing a mermaid show. And so it's all over the place. The film industry has grasped the lucrative potential of merfolk. There was China's highest grossing film of all time with Stephen Chow's The Mermaid, and used the creatures to foreground mankind's destructive effect on the environment. And with 4 new Hollywood movies currently in the pipeline, 3 were inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, and a remake of the 1984 comedy Splash, featuring Channing Tatum as a merman. Now, remember Splash? It was Daryl Hannah and her big, pardon the pun, splash on the scene. With John Candy was in that movie, and Tom Hanks. And there's a remake of that coming. And so merfolk are poised to dominate the media for the unforeseeable future. And they're remaking, did you know they're remaking Disney's animated The Little Mermaid? Remember Ariel, the little kind of airheaded redhead mermaid with shells to cover her boobs? They're remaking that movie. They're doing it with a black character and a light-skinned black character. And I said, I don't like that at one point. I got in a lot of trouble from people. I just got raked over the coals. How dare I say I didn't like the idea? I said, look, I think I'm sold on the little redheaded mermaid. I said, it's not about skin color. I said, it's about changing up the story so much. And I said, I don't really like that idea. Well, I just got blasted. I got raked on the coals by some people. And I'm like, so what? I don't care. I don't care. Shut up. I'm telling you, from a creative standpoint, I didn't like the change, and that was all. So, yeah, who didn't, Barry, fall in love with Daryl Hannah in that movie? So, Scott Allen, good to see you. Patrick Duffy. I remember him. Didn't he play, not Aquaman, but he played some undersea character that was like Aquaman. Only it was way back in the late 70s or the early 80s. Can't remember what that show was. The Man from Atlantis. There it is, Barry. I see it in your post. The Man from Atlantis. So, going on with this, we only got a few minutes left and we got to be done already. But we don't have to be, but probably should wrap it up around 10. Mermaids were considered to be beautiful beasts. All of this might give you the impression that the world has suddenly gone crazy. But the preeminence of the mermaids as cultural icons has been long apparent. Merfolk have been with mankind since the dawn of civilization, inspiring stories of art and religious iconography, featuring in our politics, helping us to navigate complex emotions and questions about the human condition. And in ancient Mesopotamia, half human, half fish creatures that we were talking about, Matt, were believed to inhabit the primordial waters from which all life sprang. And their presence on amulets and buildings from the region suggested that they had protective function. They warded off evil. They brought good luck to people and to places. Atargatis, a Syrian goddess who appears to have had a fish tail in one of her iconographical forms, similarly afforded protection to all of her followers, safeguarding fertility, order, justice. And don't forget the pantheon of marine deities that the Greeks, the Etruscans, the Romans honored. The latter influenced medieval portrayals of mermaids and their deadly cousins, the sirens, who had started to transform from seaside-dwelling bird women to fish-tailed maidens by the 7th century. And we can't forget the original animated Peter Pan movie from Disney with the cute little mermaids. And so in the Middle Ages, the medieval church used mermaids and sirens to teach Christians about sin and salvation. 12th century bestiaries, or books of beasts, provided allegorical readings of the sirens as emblems of worldly pleasures and sin, while the 14th century Cornish plays known as the Ordinalia employed the hybrid body of the mermaid, the part woman, part fish, to explain the dual nature of the Christ incarnate, part man, part God. Can you believe it? Mermaids were once used to describe in medieval times what it was like to be Jesus. Part man, part God. And hey, Barbie D, good to see you. At least you got to say hello. I'm running over here a little bit. Probably will run over, so hang in there with me. And the use of mermaids in a religious context ended with the Reformation. Their presence in other media, in drama, poetry, maps. I suppose that would be like saying using Santa Claus to describe God, a mythical creature to describe what in religious circles was a real deity. And so I suppose they kind of had loggerheads with those ideas. And they used it on maps and decorative architecture, jewelry, tableware, tavern signs, and inns. And then they increased exponentially, prompting English author and scientist Thomas Brown to declare in 1746 that few eyes have escaped the picture of mermaids. And so mer politics came into play, believe it or not. By the 16th century, mermaids were also being used in political contexts. Mary, Queen of Scots, was depicted as a mermaid on a placard posted in Edinburgh following the murder of her husband, Lord Darnley. And you should see that. I got a picture of that. And implicating Mary and her future husband, James Hepburn, Lord Bothwell, in the still unsolved murder of Lord Darnley, the placard drew public attention to a long-standing tradition that equated mermaids with prostitutes by presenting Mary as a mermaid beguiling Bothwell in the form of a hare and one of his heraldic badges. And just a few years later, the mermaid was recycled as a positive sign of English mastery over the sea, as Mary's cousin Elizabeth I was painted next to an elaborate mermaid chair in a portrait celebrating the defeat of the Spanish Armada. So a lot of stuff, and there's all kinds of other stuff here. Maybe we've only got technically 1 minute left of this show. If you can handle it running a little overtime, I'll end with this: merfolk and money. And through the Age of Enlightenment, though the Age of Enlightenment saw the phenomena of merfolk that were subjected to greater scientific scrutiny, some individuals exploited people's natural curiosity about the sea and its inhabitants by exhibiting fake mermaids. At least 5 mermaids were on show in fairs and exhibitions in London between 1775 and 1795. Come and see the mermaid on display. A mermaid corpse washed up on the shore of Bristol. And now we have it in a glass case. So the contorted specimen that was displayed between September 1822 and 1823 in the Turf Coffee House on St. James Street provides a really good example of the money that such specimens could generate. Hundreds of spectators paid 1 shilling to see it, as various publications reported on its authenticity, condemned it as a forgery, or charted the incredible story of its acquisition. The owner, Captain Samuel Barrett Eads, had sold a ship that didn't belong to him to fund the purchase. And 2 decades later, the same mermaid crossed the Atlantic and became P.T. Barnum's, Barnum and Bailey Circus's, most notorious attraction. And it was a fake mermaid. And from the 19th century to present day, artists have harnessed the erotic aesthetic of the mermaid's form to navigate female sexuality and human desire, producing works as diverse as John William Waterhouse's A Mermaid in 1900 and Rene Magritte's The Collective Invention in 1934. And meanwhile, writers such as Matthew Arnold, T.S. Eliot, Oscar Wilde have woven their imaginative power into literary explorations of love and loss, old age, and sexual inadequacy, and the isolation of modernity into the mermaid tales. And it's this flexibility that's allowed the mermaid to endure as an icon across cultures, across time, as a creature of duality, belonging to two worlds. The mermaid embodies contradiction and unity. She's a bendable cipher that absorbs and transforms whatever hopes, whatever ambitions, whatever anxieties and fears we imprint upon her. As my daughters themselves say of their own company, they say, we make dreams come true. And they do. And though it might seem like the 21st century has this edge on romanticizing, ecologizing, feminizing, politicizing the mermaid to better understand ourselves, we're merely following in the footsteps of our ancestors in succumbing to the ancient charms and the song of the siren. So there you go. Matt Finn said, I was never into fantasy, but my father-in-law does FanDuel. What's FanDuel? Does FanDuel? Tell me about that, Matt. And I like fantasy. I was never I was more into historical fiction and historical fantasy than I was pure fantasy. But Field Guy does ESPN leagues and football betting. And it's kind of like Mermaids, isn't it? Siren's song of gambling. Anyway, there we go. So we got through that material, and because we're going live, and we're not on the radio station, we could extend the show a couple of minutes like we did. So we're a few minutes late. Again, I don't like running over Jimmy Johnson's time over on Beyond Reality Radio. And so we're going to cut it short here now, folks. I want to thank you for being here tonight. Oh, online fantasy football. Oh, gotcha, Matt. Got it. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks for joining me in a live session. This is kind of what the show will be like when we're live. It's always, I feel more energized when we're live, to tell you the truth. Because there are times where I record my show, I've got no audience, nobody's there. There's no pressure. If I make a mistake, I can edit it. And I have done that a couple of times. Not often, but I've done it. And so this is nice. I like knowing the audience is there and that you're live and that you're hearing and that you're enjoying it. And so I want to thank you for being here. Thank you, Scott Allen. No, thank you. And Barbie D, good to see you. Glad you got here for the last few. Matt Finn, Master Finn, thank you for help running this ship. And Susie Q, I thought she was in here earlier. Am I thinking of yesterday? My days just melt together. When they're weird, it's been a weird week. We came right off the weekend. It was my birthday. I didn't do anything all day. Rainey took me to the hotel. We did our hotel thing on Monday night, and that lapsed over into Tuesday. Was about the only normal day this week. And Wednesday was pre-Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving Day. And now today, the day in between, the day in the middle of Thanksgiving and the weekend. And it's been a screwy week, that's all, just for me. All my days have melted together. So hotel fun. Yes, it was, Michelle. And lots of cool ghost hunting. I think captured some things on recordings that you just don't hear, that I've never heard before, which was amazing to me. That was a phenomenal thing. Hot tub adventures, all of that stuff. It was a great time at the hotel. So there you go. And it was a great birthday. One of the best birthdays I've had since I've become an old man. So there you go. And Rainey left the room, so I can't haul her over here to say, and this is why. And but she's out of the room now. taking care of the little one. And so Field Guy didn't do anything yesterday, but had plans that fell through. So you did nothing. I get that. I have days like that. All I did yesterday, I painted all day yesterday. If you haven't seen it, by the way, it's up online now. I kind of showed this to you. I might as well show you this now since we're talking about it. And I'm getting ready to sign out here. Remember, I told you I was doing these freaky Christmas paintings, and I finished this one yesterday. And I put it up last night on my Etsy page. It's all weirdly cut to fit it into the scanner. But this was the image I showed you yesterday that wasn't finished, and it's now finished. Let's see if I can bring that any closer. And you can see the image. That's Santa and his little helper, and one of his reindeer. And so that's gonna be on a shirt about that size. And I used as the title. I used to play on, motorcycles. Easy Rider and Born to Ride is their little tag. I've got it up like this, and it says behind the deer. It says in big words, Easy Reindeer, and or Reindeer, Easy Reindeer, and a little type on top. It says Born to Fly. And so there you go. There's the latest addition to the freaky Christmas illustrations. So I finished that one up. I thought I'd show you since showed you how it was yesterday. So there you go. All right, guys. Heavy Metal Santa. Yeah, I'm working on one right now. He's kind of based on Rob Zombie. This is one Rennie wanted. I wanted to do a steampunk Santa. Steampunk with the steampunk goggles and just his face with the beard up close. Steampunk this and something steampunk over here and all that. Do a steampunk Santa. And Rennie said she wanted a Rob Zombie looking Santa. So with weird zombie eyes. So I did it. It's almost done. It's, as a matter of fact, it came up to 2 minutes to showtime. No, it was 9 o'clock. And I'm working on it still. And Rainey's sitting over there. And I look at him and I go, holy crap, it's 9 o'clock. I got to be on the radio. So that's why I was 1 minute late. And because it was all open here, ready to go. But this one's more digital. It's not painted. It's a digital piece of art. And I'll show it to you probably before the night's out or by tomorrow. You'll see it up. Thank you. Thank you, Morgan Snow. That is a mean-looking deer. He's freaky, freaky Christmas deer. See? Oh, and on the back side of this, that's how he started out. That was the original drawing of him. See, Santa was going to be up on top screaming, and I didn't get very far with that. I didn't like it. I said, screw it. I'm doing him differently. And flipped the page over, which I don't usually draw on the back side, but this is an expensive illustration board. So I flipped it over, and there he is. So there he is. Freaky reindeer. I don't know if that's Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Donner, Dupid, Clompet, and Cupid, whatever their names are. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Ba-doom, boom, boom. Did you ever realize, by the way, what an awful singer Gene Autry is? How some of these guys got albums in the late 40s and the 50s, these Christmas albums. You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen. This is the way his songs start. But do you recall the most famous reindeer, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer? And that's your Gene Autry. And how he got an album, he wasn't the singing cowboy. Wasn't Roy Rogers was the singing cowboy. I remember Roy Rogers. He was a pretty cool dude. I watched Roy Rogers when I was a kid. And he did all the, and I can't do all that stuff, but he was the singing cowboy. But Gene Autry was just a TV cowboy. He was in the movies and stuff, and he was a cowboy, but he sung like a sunken log. So oh well, he got that big album deal. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Everybody hears that every year. Burl Ives was good. He couldn't really sing, but he had a good presence. Silver and gold. I remember him from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. He was the little snowman character he voiced. Burl Ives. Then the first time I saw Burl Ives play a bad guy in a movie when I was a younger kid, it was like, oh, that's the voice of the snowman, and he's mean. I think it was Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. He played Big Daddy in that movie. Big Daddy, I knew him, Big Daddy. I think that's what they called him in the movie. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. So, yeah, you know I'm old now. You know you're old now too. Burl Lives. So, different time with a different sound altogether. Ain't that the truth, Matt? All right. Let's call it quits, guys. I hope I didn't miss saying hello to anybody who came in other than Barry just at the very end. Rainey Roberts is in the chat room. That's it. She must have gone upstairs to be with the kid and got on the computer upstairs. So Rainey Roberts, woohoo! That's awesome. So, all right, that's all I got, guys. Let's get out of here. It is 10:12, and I'm running over into Jimmy Johnson's show. Sorry, Jimmy, you're not listening though. You're doing your own show, so try not to do this very often. And you guys have a good night. End of the Thanksgiving week. It's now Thanksgiving weekend. So hope you have a good weekend coming up. I will see you right back here Sunday morning for It's Sunday. That starts at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. West Coast, right here for It's Sunday. And pretty soon we might change that name to something else because I'm going to make it the Rainey Roberts and Scotty Roberts show or something like that. So I like having her in here as much as possible. She adds a lot of life and a lot of color to this, and I rather like the fact that she's here on Sundays. So, well, in any day. So, be here on Sunday. Other than that, you guys have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your night. Have a good day Saturday, and we'll see you right back here on Sunday morning. And I want to thank you for taking your time to come here. Who didn't get a YouTube notice for tonight? I put it up around 6 o'clock tonight, I think. 6 or 7 o'clock. Something like that. So, as Morgan Snow just said, pleasant dreams, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. See you on Sunday. You have a good day tomorrow. Good night. It didn't end. It was supposed to end with my churlish smile. Let's try that one more time. Good night, everybody.